Hello everyone, I'm Andy Lalwani, and we're here to talk about Crossroads, the amazing album that's here to benefit World AIDS Day. It's coming out on December 1st, and we're here with Ryan, Edward, Armstrong, and Stephen Schwartz. How are we doing this morning?
Good. Hi.
Good.
How are you?
Good. We talked about, getting ourselves up in the holiday spirit, getting everything together. Ryan, this is an awesome project that you've taken on. So what is it like to work with so many different projects and, at the same time, this project in particular benefits so many causes? Let me see if I can get the list right. First of all, for example, we have the Broadway Equity Fights AIDS Initiative, the Rising Star Program, the Fifth Avenue Theater, and the Northwest Choir. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, so the album benefits 3 organizations, 1 in New York and then 2 in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from. And so it kind of gives back to not only LGBTQ programs and AIDS research and things that are helping artists survive with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, but also 2 very important theater and music education programs that are dear to my heart, the Rising Star Project at the Fifth Avenue Theater and the Northwest Choir. So they've kind of trained and shaped me, so I immediately thought after I graduated school I should give back. So.
Awesome, amazing that you did. And so can you speak about some of the artists who are featured on this album as well?
At the very beginning, it wasn't necessarily going to be as big as it is now, but there are 33, including myself, artists and singers that are all collaborating on the album.
Wow.
So it was a lot of coordination. There's even a couple songs that are bi-coastal in their recording structure. So it's like a quartet where 2 people were recorded in New York and 2 people in Seattle. So it's actually very insane that I've done this, but
yeah.
I'm pretty happy about it.
I was going to say, not only did you sing on this album, but you also arranged the music, working with 33 people. How did you manage to do that?
I don't know. You just kind of roll with the punches and go day by day, and I just never really gave up. But this is the kind of thing where it's a tangible thing you can purchase or have and say, I'm actually giving back to something that I know the money's going right there. All the profits go to these organizations. Me and my friend Aaron Burke worked together to arrange all the instrumental and music arrangements for all the songs. We got all the mechanical licensing from the Harry Fox Agency. Yeah, so it's just been a huge endeavor. And then Broadway Records actually took on the project as our record label, and then AKA Studio Productions became our associate producer to help really give it a good foundation in terms of branding and marketing and where it needs to go. And then I just kind of set off from there. Yeah.
So Stephen, I guess, how do you come into play with all of this where it seems like he's been, in charge of the production and everything else? What made you want to get involved with this project?
Well, the truth is that Ryan very generously featured 2 songs that I've written on the album, and when he told me about
great
it,
songs.
Thank you very much. But when he told me about it and the fact that it was basically benefiting good organizations, then I was enthused to come and encourage people to hear it and maybe buy it. Obviously I heard the 2 versions of the songs of mine that were done. One is a song from Wicked called As Long As You're Mine, and one's a song from Pippin called Morning Glow, and both of them are different arrangements than if you would hear them in the show, and I thought they were cool. I thought,
Thanks.
if you did a great job, and as I say, I felt that the album itself is for a good cause. It's not, Ryan Edward here saying, "Oh, support me," and
right.
kickstart my career, etc. It's it's basically I work with these talented people, and it's fun to listen to. But if you buy it, it's actually going for something good and not just directly into Ryan's pocket.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And so how did the arrangement of those songs in particular even come up before Crossroads had come up? How they were approached in, Wicked, for example. What particularly made you want to arrange or compose these songs?
Well, obviously they were both written for shows where the assignment was write a show and write songs for the show and have these songs advance the plot and tell the story. We needed a love song. I'm always careful when I talk about the second act of Wicked, just in case there are 3 people left in the universe who haven't seen it, because there are a lot of surprises.
Right. I mean, I've only seen it twice.
Okay,
so
so
I think
no
it's 2
problem.
people now.
All right, well now it's down to 2.
people
But in
now.
any event, I don't want to spoil anything for them, and there are a lot of
Right.
plot twists in the second
Right.
act. So I'll just say that a love song occurs in the second act, and
Absolutely.
but it needed to be sexy but kind of dark,
Yeah.
and so that's what I tried to do, was write something sexy and dark. And then Morning Glow, of course, is this big anthemic song from Pippin, where he's at the height of his naivete and hopefulness, and it's sort of become an anthem over the years that Michael Jackson and people like
Right.
that did. So it was cool when you did it with the 2 women who sing very, very well, and
God, they're so good.
apparently a sneaky way of doing the backups that fooled me. You can tell about that.
I don't know when you listen to the song when it comes out, the backup vocal sounds like this big choir.
Yeah, I thought there was a choir
Is
of
it a choir?
kids.
No, it's not.
In
No,
fact,
it's
apparently
me
it
and my
is.
friend Taryn overdubbed 16 times.
Many times.
16
And then that
times.
doubled as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a 32 layer.
That's a lot of technicality.
Yeah.
That's a lot of knowing what you have going on, and just 2 people making it seem like 32 people.
It sounds really cool. That's
And
all
it
I
blends
can
really
say.
well because she is one of the singers that are singing the soloist lines, but she's also doing all the backups, so it kind of just brings it all together.
Yep.
But it's funny because when you do that sort of thing, you have to like almost sing a little out of tune or like change your vowels a little bit just so it doesn't sound like one person.
Well, that's the
every
thing about
time.
doubling, the magic of doubling.
Right.
I mean, I've
It's
always
crazy.
done that on cast albums, and people used to think I was crazy, but because I came out of the pop world, and you always double backup
Always.
vocals. And, so people would say, like, well, instead of having 8 people, why don't we just hire 16? And I had to explain, no, 8 people singing twice is a much bigger sound than 16 people singing once. Or in fact, 8 people singing twice is a bigger sound than 20 people singing once.
Also,
But-
it's so much cheaper, like the studio space. And
well, that it is and it isn't, it depends.
yeah, I
but
guess it depends on the
It's
context.
because you can never sing absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
You can never, no matter how
human
great a
voice is-
singer is, no matter how perfect your pitch is, you can be Judy Kuhn and have absolutely perfect pitch,
Gosh,
but if you sing something twice, it'll just be that little bit off, and then it
Yeah.
phases against each other and makes a thicker sound. I mean, it's, going back to Crosby, Stills, and Nash and all those big vocal sounds, that's how it's done.
And we were trying to make this album not necessarily just another musical theater like
Right.
thing. They all kind of take on, like we have one song that takes on a 1940s feel, and the song starts with like a record needle hitting the, it's like, and the whole thing it's from Funny Thing Happened, and it's like, it's very different. And so, yeah, all of them kind of try to feel a different pop edge or a different, and we even have like some dubstep sounds
Okay.
and some of the Spring Awakening things. So it's just, it's fun. I really loved it.
Great. And so all these people and all these different sounds and 2 people making 32 people noises. Can you speak about all the other people who are associated with working on this or featured on this, and what they did to be a part of it?
Yeah, so we have 33 singers, people from all over the country. Some people still in college, still doing the school thing, getting their BFAs or their BAs or whatever it is, their BMs. And then we have Broadway stars, like Angel Rita, who was just in Warpaint that just closed, and we have Nick Adams, Heath Saunders, Alan Fitzpatrick, who's a Broadway veteran who now lives out in Seattle. Matt Rizal, who was in the recent Les Mis revival. So,
But one of the things that I liked about the album, and one of the reasons I'm here sort of encouraging people
Exactly.
to give it a listen, is that it's so many kind of younger people, and it's not in fact your usual cast of the cast of usual suspects, as we say, and Ryan Edward found a bunch of different people, presumably friends of yours or people you knew and admired. And so it was exciting to hear people's voices that I didn't know do interesting interpretations of some songs I did know, but just in a different way. But I think the fact of sort of encouraging new performers was part of my enthusiasm for it.
I didn't really think about this till you just mentioned it, but it's gonna be really cool in like 20 years when we look back on the album and say, oh my gosh, this person is now CEO of Disney, or I don't know what it is, you know? Like, all these people are very passionate and donated their time and to give back to these organizations, so they're going to be going somewhere in the world, you know?
Exactly, and I think one last closing comment we can kind of like come to an agreement on is, what is one thing you loved about like working with one another on this project?
My favorite was just how generous Stephen was when I came over and just played the songs and just talking with him in email correspondence, and it's just been great to just kind of say, hey, we have this crazy idea to do this crazy thing with a Wicked song from two people who have played the roles separately on different tours, and we recorded it on like the 3,000th show anniversary of Wicked or something. It happened to be that day, and it's just like the universe all kind of aligned. So it's just been a joyous experience for me.
Yeah, and I was impressed by Ryan's energy and his sort of absolute tireless enthusiasm. You know, when he talked about what he was going to do, I thought, do you actually know what you're getting into here? This is a lot of work. But, you know, he did it tirelessly and with great positive, buoyant spirit, and I think it was, he was great to deal with, and I think the
Great to deal with.
Great to deal with, yeah. And the well, which isn't always true.
True.
Of people, and then the opportunity that you've provided for, you know, up and coming singers, and then the fact that you so generously are doing this. Not, you know, I'm doing my first album all about me, but that it did use other performers, and that ultimately it benefits some good organizations.
And I don't know if I ever told you this, but the idea of the album actually came to me when I was ziplining in Washington on my first summer stock contract.
But isn't that
that's
always the
amazing.
way?
So
I think that's how all ideas happen, when you're ziplining somewhere.
When I'm ziplining, I think of Christmas albums and, you know, ways to give back
As
and all
one
these
does.
different things.
As one does.
As one does. Well, thank you
So
so much
funny.
for joining us for this entire time to discuss Crossroads and why it's going to benefit so many different people. And be sure to buy Crossroads on December 1st. It's coming out for World AIDS Day. It's available on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, everywhere you can find music. But be sure to buy it, and be sure to buy it for a charitable cause. Thank you so much.